I'm Vernon. This is our second Student Government Elections candidate interview. We are here with...
Hi, my name is Chandler Jenkins. I'm a sophomore Government and International Politics major from Richmond, Virginia. And on campus, I'm involved in student government, have been for the past 2 years. And I was also a Patriot leader this summer with my friend and running mate Elmer. And I'm also involved in Best Buddies, and I'm the president of Lambda Sigma Honor Society.
Hi, my name is Elmer Orellana. I'm a junior community health major. I'm also from Richmond, so 804. I'm involved with Patriot Activities Council, and I'm also the philanthropy chair for my fraternity.
And you're running for president, and you're running for vice president, correct? All right, fantastic. Well, we'll just ask you a few questions about the campaign and stuff. First question. I'll ask each of you individually. So what issues are most important to you as president?
I think one of the most important or main issues that we're facing right now as a campus and a community is lack of transparency. I think that students need to be the most informed people on campus and with administrators and have that bridge that gap between them. And we plan on accomplishing this by implementing a website called mytuition.gmu.edu. It's a place where students can log in. They can see exactly where their tuition dollars are going to the cent. And if they may deem something inefficient, like inefficiently budgeted, they can log into the online forum we hope to create, and they could post a status about what issue they see needs to be addressed. And if it gets enough likes or hits or whatever, then that issue will be addressed immediately by administration and student government working together to address it.
Cool. And as vice president, what sort of issues do you think you're sort of like focusing on?
Okay. So one of the issues that we're trying to focus is that lack of engagement between students. I feel like a lot of students are the last ones to know about certain things that are taking place at the university. So with what we want to do as a ticket is that we want to set up that forum that people can talk about what issues they have, and they can bring it up in the online forum. And we also just want them to be more aware of things that are happening on campus. So knowing where their tuition dollars are being spent and having them have like a bigger voice in some of the actions that student government takes, because student government is that bridge between administrators and students, and we really want to empower the students, and we want to be those intermediaries between students and administrators.
And building off of the engagement, we feel there's kind of a lack of Patriot pride sometimes. We want Patriot Pride 365. We want that all the time. We're really spirited, passionate people about Mason, and we want to increase that spirit by implementing tailgating before basketball games, baseball games, and like really bring the community together, draw them in to support our teams. We think that's a really critical thing that needs to be changed, and tailgating is a perfect way to implement that. And
and then with engaging the community to be more spirited, we have to remember that George Mason University is a unique campus. We're not your traditional university. We have non-traditional students. We have veterans that come back to get their degree. We have on and off campus students, and we really want them to feel engaged. And tailgating is one of the best ways that they can feel engaged, because they can come out to the sporting events and just have fun and just feel part of the community. And just Patriot Pride 365 is like, I guess, bleeding green and gold every day and feeling very prideful that you go to George Mason University, one of the largest universities in Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned building pride in Mason and bleeding green and gold, as you said. One of the issues that's been talked about a lot in the student media office right now is building a sense of community. And you mentioned that there doesn't seem to be a lot of Patriot pride around campus sometimes. Mm-hmm. What do you think would give Mason students a real sense of community that other schools like Virginia Tech or UVA seem to have?
I think our platform is, our slogan is "Give Meaning to Mason." Mm-hmm. So we really want to hear students. We want to know what Mason means to them. And in order to do that is by actively engaging them, by asking them, what makes you prideful of going to Mason? So it's asking the students instead of assuming what students want, but actually getting them involved. So starting early with freshmen. As Patriot leaders, we see that a lot of freshmen are really engaged and are really pumped to come to Mason. But sometimes that is like lost throughout your college career at Mason because we don't actively do it. So we're trying to bring fresh ideas to revamp old traditions, to make them always stand out, and for students to feel that Mason is a school to be and that you should be prideful, because we are one of the largest universities with maybe one of the most like alumni-based networks in the DC area. So bleeding green and gold like every day, and just revamping Gold Rush and other traditional events. So it's just not like you just stand in line to get a t-shirt, but there's other activities going on every single day, and not just one event that you get a free t-shirt, but bleeding green and gold.
We do not want that spirit dissipating at all. We want to start that at orientation, get them pumped, and then continue that excitement and enthusiasm and pride that we feel so strongly for Mason throughout their entire career here. And we want them to leave here with that sense of, I went to Mason and I'm proud of it. And I know I will leave here feeling that way because I have such a strong sense of belonging here. And we want every student to feel that way. So our slogan, Give Meaning to Mason, we want to know exactly what Mason means to you. And if that's not a positive thing, we want to make it a positive thing. We want to move from the negativity to the positivity and bring to light those issues and address them as best we can.
Now, another thing that's been big on a lot of Mason students' mind recently is that it's an expanding campus. We just opened up our first campus in Korea. It's a growing university, globally, even at Fairfax. And with growth, you see challenges. So what are some of the challenges that you see Mason facing in the upcoming years that you think, as student body president, vice president, you could really work to address?
I think some of the challenges are kind of interrelated between the issues that Mason faces. Like you said, we are a growing university, but if we don't feel engaged, like what is that growth going to do? So it's just like working on engagement and also working on transparency, because those are some of the issues that provide those challenges. So how do we fix those is through having the student voice being heard and helping them give meaning to Mason. Because like you said, Mason is opening campuses, the campus is already opened in South Korea, and we're expanding in like Prince William and other things. So there's a lot of growth. So how do we capitalize the growth that Mason is going? And also focusing on academics, internship opportunities for credit base for more students.
There's so many opportunities that Mason gives us. We want students to know how to take advantage of all of those in any capacity. Whether they're a bio major, government major, English major, it doesn't matter. There's so many opportunities in the DC area that Mason provides. And we want all that change to be implemented as effectively as possible so they can capitalize on it and grow with it. We can all grow with the university as a student body. Because there are going to be growing pains the next few years. We want those to be as seamless as possible for students. And I definitely think having their voice heard, having the student representatives representing exactly what the students say they want to see on George Mason's campus happen and come to fruition, come to light. That is the most important thing.
Now, as part of student government, what do you think student government's role is in facilitating conversation between the administration and students?
Student government is the voice of the students, and we are the intermediary between the two. We work very closely with administration, and we work closely with students, but we want that closeness with students to be even more so. If elected, we will ensure that the student voice is heard loud and clear in every Senate meeting that we go to and every bill and resolution that is passed. We have to know that the students are backing this. And the only way to do that is to engage with them. Go out, ask them, what needs to be resolved? What issues need to be fixed? What do we need to address? And I think that transparency is vital.
And just going with what Chandler said, is just bridging that gap, because I feel like there's a lot of a disengagement between the students. So just bridging it and having a conversation and dialogue. So having like talks, just talking forums of like what's going on, like town hall meetings where students come. And the online forum is going to be great, because if you can't make it, if we have a lot of off-campus people that can't make it, or other people because of other priorities, they have an online system where their voice can still be heard. So it's just focusing and being that bridge between them and really listening and not getting like too stuck on the political things, or being able to like, if people say no, just finding like ideas or fresh ideas, because this is what students want.
We want to be like, we're, I think, very relatable people. I love talking to people. I love being personable. I love that, and I want to be that person that people can come up to. Be approachable, you know. Come up to me and say, you know, I've seen this. I want it changed, and I go back to student government and I tell them exactly what they told me, and begin working on it immediately.
And it becomes more powerful when you have documentation that students want this. You have facts behind backing it, instead of assuming, well, these are things that might help our student like body, but having the backing behind, this is actually what students want.
Yeah, and that's where the voting comes in on the online forum.
Yeah. So we've heard a lot about how your campaign hopes to interact with students on campus, but what about with administration? What do you see as the role of president and vice president in the executive branch of student government interfacing with the administration of George Mason?
Well, we have voting privileges on some committees, while we're more of an advocate, student advocate on other committees. And the student body president serves as the only student representative on the board of visitors, which makes crucial decisions about the future of our university. So I think that our role is crucial in getting administrators to know exactly what the students want. And I already have a close working relationship with administrators, being in student government for the past 2 years. And so I can build on those relationships I've already made, and use that to connect the students to them in that capacity.
Mm-hmm. And our last question, what do you think separates you as president and you as vice president from the other candidates running in this election?
Okay. I would say, as many people already know, I'm the youngest candidate running. I will be a rising junior, and I'm also the only candidate that has served on both the executive cabinet and Senate. I've seen both sides, and I've had so much experience in the past 2 years working with administration, working on things we want to continue, and also coming with new initiatives and new ideas that I want to see done in the next 2 years. So that gives me a unique opportunity to have 2 more years here to implement my ideas and come up with the fresh new ways to improve Mason and give students that voice. So I think my youth is a strength. And the other thing that I want to address is we have a great working relationship. We're friends. we were PLs together. We have so much spirit and pride for this school. I am so passionate about Mason. This is my home away from home, and I want every student to feel that way. I think that separates me from the other candidates, in that I have such a strong passion and drive to make this school better and the best it can possibly be. And that's why I'm running for student body president.
Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm running for student body vice president, as many of people know, I don't come from a student government background, but I've had other leadership opportunities outside of student government, serving as orientation leader and having executive roles in different organizations. I bring the student perspective, because I haven't been in the bureaucracy of student government. I see the student perspective, and being friends and working together. She was my peer introduction partner during the summer. So that's when we didn't know each other, but just like throughout the summer and throughout like a whole year, getting to know her passion for Mason made me decide to help her, and for us to help students advocate their voice and just engage. And just not being part of student government gives me that fresh ideas and bounce off, and just I can relate to more students because I've been there. As an RA, just knowing like the housing concerns and different things that students want. So bringing fresh ideas, I know that we can do a lot together.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Wonderful
anytime.
talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.